Okay, this is the garage north interior wall. This is the electric service panel. Apparently it's been replaced. Got a nice little green tag there. So what we got here is we got gaps wider than 1/8 of an inch, wider than 1/4 of an inch around here. That compromises the fire blocking. Alright, how is this panel even secured in here? The panel was screwed in. The panels are supposed to be nailed in. Screws are tight, screws are fast, I get that. But screws do not have the same shear strength as a nail. You ever try to take apart a treehouse? They weren't built right, but you can't take them apart because kids nailed them together. So if this structure was to experience a tornado or some kind of catastrophic event like that, such as that, this panel box would be more likely to stay in place had it been properly fastened with nails instead of screws. It's copper to copper. This is the main neutral right here. That main neutral should have white tape wrapped around it, so there's no doubt. If you don't know that that's the neutral, you don't belong in this panel, but it should have white tape around it, so that there's no doubt. There should be rubber covers on L1, L2, and the neutral right there. All this combustible lint, I don't even know how they got in there. That's pretty crazy. But all that should have been removed. You should never have gotten there in the first place. That's called bundling. So you have the big knockouts for L1, L2. And you have the small knockouts. That's for all these cables. You're not supposed to bring more than 2 cables in a panel box at a time. It's called the skin effect. The cables are not supposed to be, and wires are not supposed to be in contact with the panel cover. It's 200 amps. It's copper to copper, as I mentioned. The bonding location. This panel is bonded at the water heater. We're going to see that in a moment. But the bonding location should be labeled inside of there. Then I don't know which one of these circuit breakers goes to the condensing unit, but all your 220s are between 50 and 30 amps. And the 50 amp one is rated for the range. So all of these 30s right here, these 220 30s, which eventually is going to get to your condensing unit, is undersized. The minimum for the air conditioner is 35, and they really would like to see, the manufacturer really would like to see a 45 amp breaker. So if that's for the air conditioner and it's not, then that would be overrated. These other 220s, they're underrated. So that's the panel cover there. Coming over to the water heater. You remember the water heater TMP drain line was undersized. Well, now they've come over here with PEX on the TMP drain line. And PEX should not be closer to the water heater tank than 18 inches. There's the care and use manual. It's electronic ignition. The gas line does not have a sediment trap. The safety pan discharges directly onto the garage floor. This temperature pressure relief valve should be insulated. These water supply lines should be insulated. Over here, that's the bonding for the electrical. And behind here, you can see it once was bonded with aluminum wire. What's that about? Is this an aluminum house? I can't tell. I've been looking. I have been looking. There's the thimble, that screen. At one time those were acceptable. They're no longer acceptable. Alright. This is the hall between the laundry and the guest bedroom. And that's termite damage. That's termite damage up there. We've had some termites, and there's no smoke alarm outside of this bedroom. And on the laundry, hot and cold should be labeled. You don't know which one is which. We know, but it should be labeled. 3-prong electric and gas hookups. This door between the garage and the living space Okay, it's not wide enough. It doesn't have a self-closing spring. So it's not fire rated. I'll measure that to make sure. But for the time being, it's supposed to have a self-closing spring. You can just leave this door open and there's nothing to keep the fire from walking into the garage, into the living space. On the door opener, these optic sensors are low enough. These cables, these control wires, should have been held in place with insulated staples. This is an NM cable, too close to the garage floor. We don't even know what that's doing there. Alright. This is a spring tension sticker, and you have one on this corner. You should have one on this corner, which you do not have. There used to be one. And then you have the warning notice, which is good. You're supposed to have that. You're also supposed to have a pull handle installed on the inside of the door, which you do not have. This is the bottom panel door gasket, and the door gasket's missing right here on this end. It's the north end of that. It was in the outside video. The courtesy luminaries are not operating. And then come along. Still looking. Why are you flashing on me? This door control, overhead door control, it's closer to the garage floor than 5 feet, so little hands can get up there and push that. And you're supposed to have a warning notice. Supposed to have a warning notice on that. Back to the water heater, just to jump around, is manufactured in 2017. So it's 17, 18, 19, 3 years old. They last about 10. It's 40 gallons. The water supply lines, this line should be insulated. Looks like we've gotten some moisture issues and some corrosion on that. And that vent pipe looks pretty bad. Now look up above that corroded, that should have been replaced. It just should have. And above that, see where it's white next to the thimble? Okay, that's asbestos. So you got an asbestos vent pipe. And you got a corroded vent pipe. So all this should be, that should be taken to an environmental disposal site, and this should have been replaced when the water heater was replaced. There's just all kinds of issues with that. On the lawn sprinkler system, it's not working. It is not working. We're not getting any power. Power is going through the wall. You should be able to see that. You do have instructions. The zones are labeled, but it comes through the wall here. This is a little room. I don't even know what that is. I'm going to check that. The cables go over there, there, and they end up over there somewhere. I pulled on them a little bit. It's just not working. We just had to give up at some point. This window air conditioning unit, I don't even know how that thing operates. One, by putting it on this wall, it compromised the fire blocking between the garage and this space. And for that matter, we've got air supply register over here. And I shouldn't even, if this is the garage, I shouldn't be there. If this is not the garage, then this door should be weatherproof. You shouldn't be able to see daylight through it. And then, if that is the case, then this should have a self-closing spring on it. If this air conditioning unit were to work, good luck on that. Where is it going to drain? It's going to drain on these tables. It's going to drain on this wall. It's going to drain inside the garage. So that window air conditioning unit, it compromises the fire blocking between the garage and that space. It drains into the garage. This is just a bad idea all around. And it's obviously it's exceeded its economic life. It's way old. I was looking for a data plate. I can't find a data plate. I can't even find instructions. I can't even find instructions on this thing. It's a General Electric. Found that out. I'm not going to open it up because I had to put it back together. The freezer is working today.